not having shown up for the last long while. In my defence, I've been really, really busy protecting Australia's children, which is my passion and it's my heart. I promise that one day when I step back a little bit, when I've got some things in process at the moment where other people are stepping up to the plate. Thank you. And I have a bit more time. I will spend more time at Rotary because I love Rotary. I love what Rotary does. I love the Rotary ads that are on at the moment for the polio, stop polio. I just think it's just a proud thing for me to be involved in. For those that don't know me, I used to be a company executive. I got involved in some community campaigning. My daughter disclosed that she was being sexually assaulted by a family member. It turned out that was something that was happening across 2 generations and 40 years in my husband's family. The offender was his father. We didn't know about it, he didn't know about it. When we did know about it, he went to jail, basically. I'm cutting this a very abridged version. He went to jail, we went to counselling, and at the time I picked up the phone to try and get some help and support and direction as to what was I going to do, because I knew nothing of this issue. And I couldn't find anyone who could help me. I had a great big long list of phone numbers, each telling me to ring somebody else, and I'm quite a resourceful person. It was just devastating. So when we had sorted ourselves out, we had the money, we went straight to Wickham Terrace, we got the best help that there was. Left me thinking, but what about those other children? Because what I found was that 1 in 5 children are sexually assaulted before they turn 18. And those stats are common across the Western world, and they're not my stats, they're government stats. Australian Bureau of Criminology, they're consistent across the Western world, they're real. In Australia, that means 59,000 children every year with no one to call. So my husband and I decided, because of my business background and then my political background at the time, that we were probably the universe had positioned us to take this role on, and I feel still as passionately about it today as he does, so we've taken it on, and that's how Bravehearts was born. And it started with a white balloon campaign, which is about breaking the silence on child sexual assault. That's now federally funded, and hopefully, and we've just received an increase in that funding, and it's all just very exciting where that's going. We're redoing that this year, rebirthing it if you like, giving it making it a bit more viral, more social media, happy, that sort of thing. So we've got amazing expertise on board since last I spoke to this club. We've had so many changes going on in Bravehearts that would make your head spin. We're now in 8 locations, performing in 9 across 4 states and territories. Last night we just started a South Australian branch, so that'll be the next, really the only one left. We're sort of there with Northern Territory now too. We've been invited in by the Indigenous communities in the Northern Territory. We are federally funded to work with the Indigenous communities in far northern Queensland already. So from I don't know if that was happening when I was here last, from Mount Isa over to Townsville and all the way up to the Cape. We go in with Royal Flying Doctors and others, and that funding again has been renewed and increased. Highly successful program. Our mission, I guess, as for Bravehearts, well it is, there's no guessing about it, is to make Australia the safest place in the world to raise a child. And that's something we can do. It's not blue sky, it's not nonsense, it's not visionary, it's actually real. Coming from my background, I don't do anything without a plan. So we have a plan at the office, and it's about this thick, I'm not kidding you. We've separated our educate, empower and protect our kids, 1, 2, 3, as our 3 headline things that we need to do to make this happen. And I'm not talking across the board, but I'm talking about sexual assault, because that's our gig. And each of the very, very experienced, amazing people we've now got working for us who are heading all of these departments have come up with a list of things that has to happen in this country before we can claim that mantle. It's all thoroughly researched, measured against what's going on all around the rest of the world. And we've done that plan, and we know that we can do it. We just need the resources to do it, and we will do it, I promise you, ladies and gentlemen. By 2020, we're going to do this, because I'm not going to stop until we do. We had an election, as you all know, over the weekend, and I failed to bring it with me, but we have the support of the new LNP government, which is wonderful, and everything that we asked them for. We said, if we're going to do this, if we're going to do this, and in Queensland, if Queensland is going to be the safest place in Australia to raise a child, we need to do this, this and this, these things here. We call it the 4 pillars because that's what the government, right, this must be the doobie whacker, is it? Yep. Okay, excuse me. These are the things we have to do, the 4 pillars of what we have to do as a state to reach that agenda. And this is why I get myself involved in politics a little bit, you know, because I agitate for things that we need for Bravehearts, and it works. So we need to educate our kids. We need to make sure people who are working with our kids are properly trained. We need to raise awareness. We need to make sure that children who are harmed have counselling and support that is appropriate, specialised and properly informed. And we need to continue with our legislative reform agenda. They're the 4 things. So if you notice that Campbell Newman in his speech, in his launch of the campaign, talked about $2.5 million going toward exactly these things, and that's what I didn't bring with me because I have that there, is this. So we're going to do it, and it's really exciting. And if we get the right funds at the right time, and I've no reason to believe we won't, we will hopefully get this done inside 3 years. That's our plan. Because it's going to be hard work. You won't see me for 3 years, I doubt. But we're going to do this thing. So educate our kids. Every child in this country, in the state, let's talk about the state, has access to the Ditto education programs because these programs work. We've proved it time and time and time again. That's already happening. The Education Department is uploading all of our product and all of our teacher resources, teacher tutorials, education plans, etc., etc. That whole education program is expanded beyond even my own wildest anticipation. So we do need another 100,000 to finish that off, which we'll get shortly. That will be beamed into every classroom in this state. In fact, when we've got letters from every other Department of Education from around the country, with the exception of South Australia, who say they're going to do exactly the same thing. So all of the Ditto stuff, all of the education for children is going to be beamed into every classroom in this state. In addition to that, we've got Ditto shows, the actual shows and the performances expanding right across the state. So we can tick that one off shortly, which is fantastic. Training and awareness, we just launched in the interim, Australian Academic Press have just published our book, which is the first of its kind anywhere in the world. It was put together by our therapists based on 12 years of counselling, specialist counselling experience, which is unique in this country, and put it together in a really succinct little book. And we launched it here. We took it to Hawaii with us when we spoke, because we're speaking around the world now as well. I'm off to Thailand on Saturday, Bangkok, with the Australian Federal Police again to talk to the global task force on child protection, of which I'm a part, about child protection, about child sex tourism actually. So the training, so we've got to make sure that the therapists, the social workers and psychologists that are in our country have the proper training to deal with this issue, to deal with the children, to deal with their parents, and to not destroy police evidence. So no leading questions, don't, all that stuff. It's very sad that even today there is no training specific to this in most psychology and social work university courses. So these are wonderful people, highly skilled, highly trained, who when a child presents to them don't feel confident. It's not that they can't do it, they just don't feel confident because they haven't collected that skill set. So this book will present them with that opportunity where we can't train them. The federal government have in the last year, sent us around the country, funded again. We delivered workshops to practicing psychologists and social workers right around the country on how to do this work. Because I went to talk to Jenny Macklin and said, it's really, really great that you've changed everything so now that children and families can go and see a psychologist on Medicare. Difficulty is, where they're going to, these psychologists don't have the right skill set to be able to deal with this properly. So that's widely acknowledged, so we got sent around, and there's a lot more work coming on that as well. So we make sure that in Queensland, every psychologist and social worker, and we can do this on a platform, on an online platform which we're nearly completed building, has the right training, has access to us on a telephone. This is already happening. I have to tell you, this little book, this magic book, has found itself into like Cunnamulla and all these little background places where there is no psychologist, there is no social worker. So parents are actually using this book to counsel and to manage their own children with the support of Bravehearts therapists on the other end of the line. It's really, really exciting because what's happening is the kids are getting the right support.